Chapter 26. The chapter about Brahmins. Striving for Nibbana. The Brahmin Pasada Bahula heard the Buddha teach and became a devotee. He used to invite monks to his house for meals and would always address them as Arhat, which nobody was happy about. The Buddha advised him with this verse to strive to become an Arhat himself. 383. Strive and cut off the stream. Remove desire, Brahman, knowing the destruction of the conditioned. Know that which is not made, Brahman. Developing calm and insight. During a visit by 30 monks who had come in from the countryside, Venerable Sariputta, believing they were ready to become Arhats, asked the Buddha to explain what were the two things he had heard spoken about. And the Buddha told they were calm and insight, and exhorted the monks with this verse. 384. When a Brahmin has, through two things, crossed over, then for one who knows, all fetters are laid to rest. Beyond the near and far shore. Mara disguised himself and approached the Buddha, asking about the far shore. The Buddha recognized and rebuked him, and then spoke this verse. 385. For whom the near shore, the far shore, or both do not exist, free of anxiety, being detached, that one, I say, is a Brahmin. The one without pollutants. A Brahmin by birth noticed that the Buddha referred to his disciples as Brahmins and thought he should apply the title to him also. The Buddha explained that he used the word not because of birth, but only for one who was an Arhat, and then he spoke this verse. 386. The meditator sitting down, the one who is dustless, who has done his duty, without pollutants, who has reached the ultimate good, that one, I say, is a Brahmin. The Buddha is radiant. One day, Venerable Ānanda saw the sun set, the moon rise, the king in his mantle, Venerable Kaludayi meditating, and the Buddha, who outshone them all. The teacher explained that the Buddhas outshine the others both by day and by night, and spoke this verse. 387. The sun shines by day, the moon shines by night. The accoutred noble is radiant, the meditating Brahmins radiant. Then every day and night the Buddha is radiant through his shining power. The true meaning of words. A Brahmin who ordained in an outside sect noticed that the Buddha referred to his disciples as ones who had gone forth, and thought he should apply the title to him also. The Buddha explained that he used the word not for one who had left home, but only for one who had driven out the defilements, and then he spoke this verse. 388. Warding wickedness one's called a Brahmin. An austere one is called an ascetic. Because of driving forth all stain from oneself, one is said to be one who has gone forth. A Brahmin should be restrained. A Brahmin thought Venerable Sariputta didn't get angry because he had never been tested, so he walked up behind him and landed a great blow on his back. Venerable Sariputta was unperturbed. The Brahmin asked forgiveness and asked him to accept a meal, which he did. The Buddha commented on the incident as follows. 389. A Brahmin shouldn't hit a Brahmin, and nor should he abandon him. Woe to one who strikes a Brahmin! Woe to one who abandons him! 390. It is no little good for the Brahmin when the mind is held back from what is dear. Whenever mind turns back from violence, then there is a calming of suffering. Restraint in 3 ways. After Venerable Mahapajapati Kotami was ordained by the acceptance of the 8 serious rules, the other nuns were ordained by the monks. Later, they were in doubt about her ordination and reported the matter to the Buddha, who confirmed her ordination and rebuked the nuns with this verse. 391. For whom there is no wrongdoing, by body, by voice, or by mind, being restrained in these 3 things, that one, I say, is a Brahmin. Paying respects to one's teacher. Venerable Sariputta would always bow in the direction where he knew his first Dhamma teacher, Venerable Assaji, was living. The monks thought he was worshipping the cardinal points and reported the matter to the Buddha, who explained the situation and then taught them with this verse. 392. That one from whom one learned Dhamma, taught by the perfect Sambuddha, with respect bow down to him, like Brahman bows at fire sacrifice. The one who has truth and Dhamma. A Brahmin by birth noticed that the Buddha referred to his disciples as Brahmins and thought he should apply the title to him also. The Buddha explained that he used the word not because of matted hair, family, or birth, but only for one who has penetrated the truth, and then he spoke this verse. 393. Not because of matted hair, family, or birth is one a true Brahmin. In whom there is truth and Dhamma, that one is pure and a Brahmin. Appearance is not enough. An ascetic was given lizard meat one day as his alms food and developed a craving for it. When the king of lizards came to pay his respects, the ascetic tried to kill him. The lizard escaped, however, and blamed the attacker for not being a true ascetic, saying he only had the appearance, not the true qualities of an ascetic. The Buddha summed it up in this verse. 394. Why do you have your hair matted, stupid one? And why your dear skin? Within you there is a jungle. You only polish the outside. The meditator is a true Brahmin. One day, Sakka visited the Buddha to listen to his teachings, and at that time, Venerable Kisa Kotami came flying through the air to pay her respects to the Buddha and quickly departed. Sakka asked who it was, and the Buddha told him and spoke this verse about her. 395. That one who wears discarded clothes, who is lean with protruding veins, who meditates in the forest, that one, I say, is a Brahmin. Being unattached to anything. A Brahmin by birth noticed that the Buddha referred to his disciples as Brahmins and thought he should apply the title to him also. The Buddha explained that he used the word not because of matted hair, family, or birth, but only for one who was unattached. And then he spoke this verse. 396. I do not call one a Brahmin because of being born from a certain womb. That one is just one who says bo if he is attached. Having nothing and unattached, That one, I say, is a Brahmin. Cutting off all feathers. The merchant's son, Ukasena, fell in love with an acrobat whom he saw performing. But her father would only give her to him if he joined them, which he readily agreed to do. Later, after he had ordained and became an arhat, the monks thought he was falsely claiming to be without fear, but the Buddha confirmed his attainment with this verse. 397. Whoever has cut off all the feathers surely does not tremble. Surmounting attachments, detached. That one, I say, is a Brahmin. Cutting off the obstacle. 2 Brahmins were trying to find out who had the strongest ox by making them carry heavy loads, but their thongs broke as they tried. The monks reported the matter to the Buddha, who said that thongs breaking was natural, but they should strive to cut the thongs of anger and the strap of craving, and taught them with this verse. 398. Whoever has cut off the thong, the strap, the rope, together with the bridle, who has thrown off the obstacle and is awakened, that one, I say, is a Brahmin. Commentarial interpretation. Whoever has cut off hatred, craving, and the 62 views together with the tendencies, and also thrown off ignorance, that one I call a Brahmin. The strength of forbearance. A Brahmin was angry because his wife constantly called on the Buddha, so he went and abused the awakened one. But the Buddha converted him with his wisdom. Later, the exact same scene unfolded with regard to his 3 brothers. The monks spoke about it, and the Buddha explained that he possessed the power of endurance with this verse. 399. Whoever, being pure, forbears with punishment, bondage, abuse, having the strength of endurance, and having an army of strengths, that one, I say, is a Brahmin. The one in his last body. When Venerable Sariputta was in his village, he went to his own home and was offered alms food by his mother, who roundly abused him for being a beggar. However, the elder did not get angry or say a word. After this was reported to the Buddha, he spoke this verse. 400. Whoever is controlled of mind, dutiful, virtuous, taint-free, well-trained, and in his last body, that one, I say, is a Brahmin. The one who is unsmeared. After the rape of Venerable Upāsikā, the monks were discussing whether those who had become an arhat still enjoyed the pleasures of the flesh. When this was reported to the Buddha, he said it was not so, and, affirming her purity of mind, he spoke this verse explaining the situation. 401. Like water on the lotus leaf, like a mustard seed on needle, he who is unsmeared by desires, that one, I say, is a Brahmin. The one who put down the burden. Before the rule against ordaining runaway slaves was promulgated, one slave ran away from his Brahmin master, ordained, and soon became an arhat. When the Brahmin came looking for him, the Buddha explained he had already put down the burden and then spoke this verse. 402. Whoever knows here and now the destruction of his suffering, putting down the burden, detached, that one, I say, is a Brahmin. The one skilled in the path. One day, Sakka visited the Buddha to listen to his teachings, and at that time, Venerable Khema came flying through the air to pay her respects to the Buddha and quickly departed. Sakka asked who it was. The Buddha told him and spoke this verse about her. 403. The deeply wise, sagacious one, skilled in what is path and not path, who has reached the ultimate good, that one, I say, is a Brahmin. The one with few desires. Venerable Bhaparavasi Tissa retired to a certain rock cave in order to forward his meditation. The deity residing there moved out and tried to slander the elder. Recalling his own virtue, however, the elder soon became an arhat. The monks could not believe he had not got angry with the deity. But the Buddha confirmed his purity with this verse. 404. Whoever does not mix with the householders or the houseless, wandering homeless, with few desires, that one, I say, is a Brahmin. The one who neither hurts nor kills. A monk was given a subject of meditation, went to the forest, and became an arhat. As he was traveling, a woman who had quarreled with her husband followed close behind. When the husband saw them, he thrashed the monk. The monks could not believe he had not got angry with the man. But the Buddha confirmed his purity with this verse. 405. Whoever has laid down the stick used against fearful and fearless beings, who neither hurts nor kills, that one, I say, is a Brahmin. The one who is unattached. A Brahmin's wife sought for 4 Brahmins to give a meal to, and was sent the 4 arhat novices, Samgitya, Pandita, Sopaka, and Revata, whom she set on the floor and would not serve. Being alerted, Sakka came and convinced her to serve them. The monks could not believe the novices had not got angry with the woman, but the Buddha confirmed their purity with this verse. 406. Being friendly with the hostile, calm amongst those holding a stick, not attached amongst those attached, that one, I say, is a Brahmin. The one who has thrown off defilements. When Venerable Kula Pandaka could not remember even 4 lines of verse, even after 3 months of trying, and his elder brother, Venerable Mahapandaka, asked him to leave the monastery, the monks could not believe Venerable Mahapandaka had not been angry with his brother, but the Buddha confirmed his purity with this verse. 407. Whoever has dropped off passion and hatred, conceit and anger, like mustard seed from a needle, that one, I say, is a Brahmin. The one who speaks the truth. Venerable Pilindavacha used to speak to everyone using abusive words which offended many of the monks. They asked the Buddha about it, and he understood that Venerable Pilindavacha was not angry. He was speaking like that habitually because he had been a Brahmin in 500 previous existences. And then he spoke this verse about him. 408. Whoever speaks a word of truth that is informed and is not coarse, through which no one would be angry, that one, I say, is a Brahmin. The one who does not take what is not given. A certain monk picked up a cloth one day, thinking it was discarded, only to be accosted by its owner to whom he straightway gave the cloth back. When the monks heard about it, they teased him and reported it to the Buddha, who confirmed he did not take what was not given, as he was without attachments, and then spoke this verse about him. 409. Whoever here does not take what is not given, long, short, small, large, attractive or unattractive, that one, I say, is a Brahmin. The one without longings. After Venerable Sariputta had spent the rains retreat with 500 monks, the lay people still hadn't donated requisites. As he was leaving, he asked for the requisites to be sent on, or that he be told. The monks reported it to the Buddha, who explained it was concern for the donors and the young monks that made him ask so, and not craving, and then spoke this verse about the one without craving. 410. For the one who has no longings, in this world or in the next world, being without longings, detached, that one, I say, is a Brahmin. The one without desires. After Venerable Moggallana had spent the rains retreat with 500 monks, the lay people still hadn't donated the requisites. As he was leaving, he asked for the requisites to be sent on, or that he be told. The monks reported it to the Buddha, who explained it was concern for the donors and the young monks that made him ask so, and not craving, and then spoke this verse about the one without craving. 411. For the one who has no desires, who, through knowledge, is without doubt, who has reached unto the deathless, that one, I say, is a Brahmin. The one who has overcome merit and demerit. Venerable Sariputta's youngest brother, Revata, escaped from the household life and became a monk, and soon after became an arhat. After the rains retreat, the Buddha visited him, and by magic power, Venerable Revata transformed the thorn thickets he lived in into something well equipped and quite delightful. The monks proclaimed his merit, but the Buddha explained the elder has overcome all merit and demerit and spoke this verse. 412. Whoever here has overcome, clinging to merit, demerit, who is griefless, dustless, and pure, that one, I say, is a Brahmin. The one who no longer rejoices in life. Because of a past deed, a light shone from the torso of a boy, Kandaba, and he was taken round the country giving blessings. When he entered into the presence of the Buddha, however, the light disappeared. He then ordained and soon became an arhat. The monks doubted his attainment and asked the Buddha, who spoke this verse about him. 413. Whoever just like the moon is stainless, pure, clear, undisturbed, and has destroyed joy in existence, that one, I say, is a Brahmin. The one who crossed over. Supavasa carried her child Sivali for 7 years in her womb and took 7 days to deliver him. Later he ordained and became an arhat. One day the monks discussed how much suffering he had been through, and the Buddha confirmed he was now free of suffering and spoke this verse. 414. He who had crossed a difficult path through births, deaths, and delusion, the meditator, crossed over to the further shore, free of lust and doubt, unattached and cooled down. That one, I say, is a Brahmin. the one who gave up pleasures and existence. Sundarasamutta retired from the world and gave himself up to the ascetic life. His mother sent a courtesan to try to win him back to the house life. She set herself up on the street. He normally went on alms round and enticed him inside the house. The Buddha sent an image of himself and taught him with this verse. 415. Whoever, giving up desires, would wander homeless in the world, destroying desires, existence, that one, I say, is a Brahmin. The one who gave up craving and existence. Because of their deeds in a previous existence, the merchants Jatila and Jotika were extremely rich. After they retired from the world and became arhats, the monks feared they were longing for their previous wealth. The Buddha explained that they had given up all craving and spoke this verse about those who have attained. 416. Whoever, giving up craving, would wander homeless in this world, destroying craving, existence, that one, I say, is a Brahmin. The one unattached to yokes. One monk, who was previously a dancer, soon became an arhat. When a troop of dancers passed through, the monks asked whether he still craved for his previous life, and he answered he did not. The monks asked the Buddha about it, who confirmed the monk had overcome all yokes and spoke this verse. 417. Abandoning the human yoke, overcoming the divine yoke, being unattached to all yokes, that one, I say, is a Brahmin. The one who abandoned delight and hate. One monk who was previously a dancer soon became an arhat. When a troop of dancers passed through, the monks asked whether he still craved for his previous life, and he answered he did not. The monks asked the Buddha about it, and he confirmed the monk had overcome all delight and hatred and spoke this verse. 418. Abandoning delight and hate, cooled off and free from all cleaving, a hero who vanquished the world, that one, I say, is a Brahmin. The one whose destiny is unknown. The youth Wangisa could tell where anyone had been reborn by knocking on their skulls. The Buddha set out the skull of an arhat before him, and he was unable to see where he had been reborn, so he ordained to learn about it. Soon he became an arhat himself, and the Buddha confirmed he now knew all about the rebirth of beings. 419. Whoever knows in every way beings passing and their rebirth, unattached, happy and awake, that one, I say, is a Brahmin. 420. For the one whose destiny is unknown to gods, Gandharvas, men, pollutant-free, and arhat, that one, I say, is a Brahmin. The one who is unattached. The merchant Upāsikā attained the third stage of awakening, and his wife, Venerable Dhammapada, became an arhat. Later, he questioned her about the Dhamma, and she answered everything well, but told him to seek an answer from the Buddha for his last question. The Buddha confirmed all the elders' answers and then spoke this verse. 421. For whom there's nothing in the past, the future, or present, having nothing and unattached, That one, I say, is a Brahmin. The one who has been cleansed. King Pasenadi gave gifts beyond compare to a Sangha of 500 monks with the Buddha at its head, and placed elephants holding parasols over all but one of them. There were only rogue elephants left, and the king had one of them hold his parasol over Venerable Angulimala, whose presence tamed him. The monks thought the elder must have been afraid when the elephant was brought. But the Buddha said he was not, and spoke this verse. 422. A noble leader, heroic, a great seer, victorious, free of lust, cleansed and awakened. That one, I say, is a Brahmin. The one who is accomplished. When the Buddha was ill one time, he asked for hot water from the Brahmin Devahita, who readily gave it. The Brahmin then asked to whom alms were best given, and the Buddha explained that his alms had great fruit, and then spoke the following verse about the true Brahmin. 423. Whoever knows their former lives, and sees heaven and the downfall, and has attained birth's destruction, the sage, accomplished in knowledge, who is accomplished in all things, that one, I say, is a Brahmin. Dhamma verses is finished.